Welcome. Today we're in San Juan Capistrano at a wonderful old mission, and we've got Jerry Miller here. Welcome, Jerry.
Thank you.
Now, can you tell us a little bit about this mission of San Juan? What's the name of it?
I can tell you a little bit about it. I can tell you a lot about it, as a matter of fact.
Great.
This all started way back in 1776, which was before my time, and it was really before the United States started. As a matter of fact, when George Washington and his rebels were trying to get together an army, they actually were sent money from this mission, because Father Sarah said that George Washington God must be with him because his cause is right. And so they collected money here and sent it back to George Washington and his forces who were trying to put out the British, and they got there in time for a victorious victory at Yorktown.
What year was this?
This is 1776.
I can't believe it. It's still standing. And can you tell us a little bit about the adobe and maybe the restoration that you're doing here?
Well, we have the only stone church in all of the California Mission. This is known as the jewel of the California Mission because you can look around you and see that this definitely is a jewel. It was well placed in terms of the commerce up and down the El Camino Real, now called the I-5, and people were able to get here from the sea, from Dana Point, then called Capistrano Bay. So it was well positioned to be a commerce center, a center for people. And they built an adobe mission here like the other adobe missions in California, but then they got very ambitious. They decided to build a magnificent cathedral here in the wilderness. And so they built this great stone church, which started in 1797 and finished in 1806. And unfortunately only lasted a few years before it fell in the great earthquake in 1812. But while it was standing, it was the marvel of the West. If you can picture, there were nothing else around here. This really was a wilderness. And this is the largest stone structure west of the Mississippi and the largest stone church in the United States at the time it was finished in 1806.
Now, who actually constructed this?
This was constructed by the indigenous peoples here, the Juaneño Band of Mission Indians, as they call themselves, and the few European settlers who had come with the Padres, a few soldiers. And it wasn't until they were well into the construction of this church, this great stone church, that they even got a stonemason from Mexico, Culiacan, Mexico, to help them with some of the technical work. But they had gotten it started without the benefit of that advice.
Now, it looks like you're doing some restoration now. Are you getting help from any outside sources?
Any outside sources we can get help from, we gratefully accept it.
Well, now take that for account. If you have some money to spend on a wonderful place to go visit, can anybody come and visit this place?
Well, anybody can come and visit this place because it belongs to all of us. This belongs to the ages. This is something that really is our history, and something that can never take away our heritage. This is the missions are part of California history, and this is the grandest of all the missions. And it belongs to all of us. We have all sorts of events here that go on all year round. We have 550,000 visitors here every year.
Oh, that's remarkable.
And the nice part of that is 105,000 of those are school children in the 4th grade who come here on a field day, and they study California history by studying the missions.
So anybody can come. You need to come down and check this wonderful, wonderful place out. It's a sunny, beautiful day. The weather's probably always really good around here.
It's always beautiful here in Southern California. As you know, it's not always right in your eyes, but it's a beautiful weather. And this place, not only we welcome everybody to come here because it's part of our heritage. This is something that is left to us as a legacy from our past by those who came here a long time ago. They came to a new land to build a new country, and you can see they had some great disappointments. They had the earthquake that blew this thing down, and they persevered and they continued on, and here we have the California of today.
Well, that's marvelous, and great ideas and great theory and information on this great mission. I see some bells over here. Let's go over and check some of these out. Come on, Jerry. Jerry, we're in a new place with all these bells, but you've said something about what about that landscape we're looking at?
Well, when you look over these old mission walls, you get the feeling that this is the way it looked originally, because in San Juan Capistrano, people are not allowed to build on the ridge line. So we can see these beautiful ridges that go down to the sea, and because the walls are around us and the vegetation, you can't see the traffic that's out there, and we get the feeling of being in an oasis of peace, of silence, of serenity. And I love looking out at the hills here beyond the mission and think that's how it must have been when Father Sarah came.
Well, I can see that myself. It's awesome. Now tell me about these bells.
These bells come from a long way back. These came here in some of them in 1796, two of them, the smaller ones, and then the larger ones came in 1804. And the reason they're here is that they were brought here to be in the campanile, the bell tower of the Great Stone Church. We just saw the ruins of that, and of course the bell tower fell first. And when the bell tower, which was about 75 to 100 feet tall, could be seen from all around here for miles and miles, and the bells could be heard. And these bells were used to ring out the events of the day. When to get up, when to eat, when to pray, and if somebody died, you use different kind of bells for a man who had died, or a woman who had died. And so this told the story. This was the chronicler of the things that happened for this whole town. That was the function of the bells. Now, when they fell in the earthquake from 75 to 100 feet up, the bells, which are made of cast of bronze in Europe, they cracked. The two big ones cracked. And so for the last 200 years, we've had these bells here that really were damaged and didn't have a resonance to them. They had sort of a clunk, and we would ring them sparingly because they were very damaged. We didn't want to further damage them. However, for the year 2000, the millennium, we said, well, let's take the bells and have them recast. So we sent them back to Holland. They took the old bells and they made them the molds of them, and they recast the bells. So the two ones here are replicas of the original bells. The other ones are originals because they were cracked. And we have now the original bells still intact as artifacts for people to see, but they don't sound like these bells sound.
Now I wonder, could we possibly kind of get a ring out of those today?
Perhaps. Let me see.
Am I putting you on the spot right now?
No, I may be putting you on the spot, but come with me and we'll go check it out.
Let's do. Jerry, where are we now?
We are now in the Sacred Garden, or the Bell Garden as it's sometimes called. It has a lovely fountain behind you, and then it has these bells. And this is one of the most photographed scenes at the mission is the photograph with the bells in the background.
Well, it's not a very big area, but it looks very old.
It is very old. On one side we have the Great Stone Church, on the other side we have one of the original buildings of the mission, which was built in 1776. Now, behind this is Sarah Chapel, which is built in 1776, which is the oldest building in California and is still in use. We've done a lot of repair on it over the years, and we've done some seismic retrofitting of it, because somehow the Padres didn't put in seismic retrofitting. I guess we didn't have laws like that in those days. But anyway, it's still extant, and it's one of the oldest. It's the oldest building in California.
And that is beautiful. We're going to take a little picture in there and show you. But now, Jerry, you promised we're going to get to hear this bell. So all of you, listen. Jerry, tell us how you have to ring this bell, Jerry.
Well, this is not one of those bells that tosses against the clapper. This is one where you have a rope attached to the clapper. There are two kinds of bells. One which roll back and forth, and the other which only the tongue or the clapper rolls back and forth. So these are usually tongues of silence until somebody pulls on this rope, and then then your silence is shattered by the kind of ringing that they used to listen to open up the events of the day.
This is loud. I'm sure all of the valley heard this.
Well, I'm sure they were going to wonder what happened. It's not a fire, we know, but something's happening at the mission. There's always something happening at the mission.
Well, Jerry, it is really been a pleasure to see all these different areas of the mission. I just encourage everybody to come down. I think you could spend all day. And not see it all. Am I right?
You're right. It takes you could see a lot of it, but if you really took your time and enjoyed all of the tranquility here and really looked at the history of it and looked at what history has done to and the marks of time on all of our stones and edifices here, it would be a worthwhile day.
I'm sure it will. Well, Jerry, let's go check out that sanctuary.
You don't want to hear another song?
Yes, I do. One more to go. Let's do it together, Jerry.
A duet is always better than a solo.
You're right. Let's go check that out. Jerry, this is a garden. It's in the entrance of this beautiful mission. Tell me something about this garden.
Well, this is here on purpose. This is a very beautiful mission, and we sought to have people come in the mission, and we're a higher elevation, you see, than the front gate, and look behind and see this magnificent ruins here, surrounded and framed by the beautiful low color that you see in the gardens. And the effect would be with this magnificent ruins surrounded by all this color to say, oh! And that's the reaction we hope to have.
Well, I had that. I had a breathtaking. Let's take a little closer look. And what about all these names that are on these stones down here?
Well, these are names of people who loved the mission. And we had a program a few years ago wherein we sold these various tiles, and people could have their names on, therefore be immortalized. And we used the proceeds from that to fund the various preservation efforts that we had here at the mission. We no longer have this program extant because we've run out of place to put them. But we raised about $400,000 that people, and these are the people who gave the money to us, and there's the evidence of what we've been doing with it.
Well, it's awesome. Now, or do we have some roses in the garden? And
we have roses, and we have this purple color that you see here. This garden is timed so that different flowers bloom at different times of the year. You're seeing the last roses of summer here, but also you're seeing Mexican salvia, which is just now coming into this beautiful purple color that you see all around us. And you see some of the other status, and I'm not a gardener, but I must tell you that the people who provide the help in this garden provide the TLC that really makes it shine. And they know what they're doing. They come out here, they're all volunteers. They come out here out of a labor of love, and they work in this garden. And they know that this is not only the garden of the mission, but this is their garden too. This is a garden for all of us. It's a delight for the eye, and just very pleasant to sit among the flowers and to walk through it.
You know, I could see myself on a really, hectic day coming over here and spending an hour just sitting down in the garden and enjoying myself and being taken back.
I do that as often as I can, which isn't too often, by the way. It gets kind of hectic in the office, but I love to come out here and look at the flowers, and I do get that feeling of calmness, slight breeze coming, and this is a place of peace.
Yes, it is. So let's go over here and talk about this pond. Looks like a lily pond or something.
Well, it is. It's a fountain that we have several fountains here, 4 of them to be exact, and they're special ponds for us. We have the flowers you see blooming are African water lilies. Now what happens is, as they come in the shade or as the sun goes down, the flower that is out like an outstretched palm closes up like a fist. And so they're only out, as you see, when the sun is out, and they close up at night. Now in the wintertime, they not only close up, they get cold, they close up and then they shrink down underwater and stay there till the weather warms up and the water warms up and the sun is out and they come back up.
Well, that's very exciting to know all that kind of information. Let's take some more looks at other things. Well, Jerry, we're in a courtyard again that is absolutely beautiful, and it has a lot of old artifacts. And back here, Tell us about this part.
Well, this L-shaped structure behind me, the mission, behind the Mission Arcades, is where the Padres lived back in the colonial days. And their dining room is back there, and then they have a little room here where they had guests stay, because there's nothing between Los Angeles and San Diego except this old mission. And then the gift shop, which is currently the gift shop behind us, formerly their dining room, was also used as a chapel when the Great Stone Church fell, and when Sarah Chapel was damaged. So they've had a lot of weddings. For example, Mary Pickford, the silent screen star,
Yes.
the star of silent movies, was here. She was actually married here in 1915, and she was married thereafter to people like Douglas Fairbanks and Buddy Rogers. But the man, this is her first wedding, and the man she married here, whose name was Owens, and we have a very famous oil painting of that, portraying the wedding of Mary Pickford right here in these gardens with these flowers around it, way back in 1915.
Oh my gosh, it just seems like you go back in time so much. What's on the horizon for this mission? What are you going to be doing in the future?
Well, we hope that the future is a long one. We have been here for 225 years. That's our past.
Yeah, you should be still coming a long time.
And we hope that we can preserve it. That's the whole purpose of our activity here, is to try and preserve what's here, because it belongs to all of us, and because we want our children and our children's children and their children to be able to enjoy it just as we're enjoying it. And the only way to do that is to keep up our preservation work. And that's what our primary activity here is, to preserve what we have, because I don't know if you've ever lived in a very, very old house, but it's difficult. You get this end of the board nailed down and the other end flies up, and so we're constantly engaged in with our finger in the hole in the dike, trying to stop other leaks from occurring. We just keep at it. We just keep repairing and preserving what we can, and I think we're ahead of the game. We have the Great Stone Church, we're almost finished. We have another $4 million, and I think we'll be finished with the major work of capital restoration, so that what we get from the gate can then support the continued maintenance of it. But we still have to get over that hump of the capital preservation repairs.
Well, Jerry, it has been my pleasure today to be able to go through this wonderful, wonderful mission in San Juan, and I thank you very much for your experience and your hospitality to let us see what you have to offer. And don't forget, you can come down to San Juan Capistrano to see this wonderful old mission.
Jewel of the missions, and it belongs to all of us. That's the wonderful part.
It belongs to all of us. Have a great day, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you for coming.
Well, I'm in this beautiful courtyard with lots of beautiful flowers, and two beautiful flowers on either side of me. Now, this is, let me get it right, Electa Anderson.
Correct.
And Aaron Honeycomb.
Correct.
And you guys are part of what kind of group that has something to do with this mission?
My position here at the mission is as Executive Director for Friends of the Mission. And Friends of the Mission was founded to raise awareness of and funds for preservation of the Great Stone Church behind us here.
And we've seen a lot of that. Tell us a little bit more about what you guys do. I mean, how do you get money for the mission, or how do you go about it?
Well, we will be celebrating our 5th anniversary next fall. We just held our gala fundraiser, Romance of the Mission, and our goal was to produce a fundraiser, a beautiful evening that reflected our old California heritage here at Mission San Juan Capistrano, and brought the attention to the community of the importance of preserving this for future generations. So we now produce Romance of the Mission, which is a dinner held in the courtyard with over 3,000 candles and a live auction. and we try to keep it very, very elegant and like it would have been 200 years ago if you were getting dressed to come to a dinner in the courtyard at the mission. And we now have raised awareness and attention and have a strong membership with Friends of the Mission that actually put on activities all year round with the goal of bringing sponsors and participants into Romance of the Mission in the fall.
You're a volunteer?
I am. I'm a volunteer interior designer and also have worked in the recent months with Electa on the Romance of the Mission fundraiser, which was a great pleasure for me. I've known Electa for a couple of years, and I just had moved to this area and thought, I'd love to just do something that has a part in the mission.
You know, as we're talking here, hummingbirds are just flying all around us. They must love all the flowers. It's just the birds, and it's just very tranquil here. And something that we didn't talk about with Jerry, and I know Jerry's right over there. Jerry, come in here real quick and tell us about the swallows. You didn't tell me about the swallows. Come. Jerry, come over here. Right here. All right. Jerry, tell us about the swallows.
Well, the swallows are what made this place really famous here back in 1939. The swallows have been coming back here every year for hundreds of years. There's some biological clock that brings them all the way from Argentina here to San Juan Capistrano, and then from here they go inland, outland, they go up the I-5, they go all over the place, but this is where they start from. And so they've been coming back here for years, and in 1939, people were gathered here, and NBC had a program announcing that the swallows had come back to Capistrano, and a songwriter up in L.A., Rafael Leon, heard the song or heard the program on the radio and said, now that makes a lot of sense to me. His name was Leon Rene. I gave the name of his son, who comes here every year and sings a song. And so he said, I'm not going to get my breakfast. I've been waiting for my breakfast. My breakfast probably won't come till the swallows come back to Capistrano. And he said, hey, that's a good name for a song. And so he wrote the song, and the song has been sung by all of the great singers of our time, and it's been sung worldwide, and so that commemorates the event that we celebrate here every year, the return of the swallows to Capistrano.
Now, Jerry, could you give us a little rendition of Swallows Back to Capistrano? I'm not really into it. I just don't know it. Could you just sing?
Well, I don't really know how it goes. Actually, if I did, you wouldn't recognize it. My mother always told me, don't sing, just move your lips.
Well, all of you, it has really been a pleasure to be here today and to see a wonderful place and working with volunteers and people that are spending a lot of their time and effort to preserve this wonderful monument. And so I hope that you can visit this wonderful place and possibly volunteer or donate. So until then, let's all wave goodbye and see you later until the swallows come back to Capistrano.